So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and tonight we're joined by Justin Rodda. He's the drummer for the band She, and they're a band from Anchorage, Alaska, and they're about to release their new album on June 16th, and we're here to talk about it in music. So, Justin, how's everything up there in Alaska?
It's going all right, man. It's just an overcast, cloudy day on a Thursday. Can't complain, man.
Yeah, well, it's I was reading about Anchorage I know that Alaska, there's parts in Alaska that I think like half of the year it's all day, all the time, and another half is all darkness, but not where you live, right?
It's a majority of the state. Yeah, it's either or. We kind of have two seasons, is what it feels like. Winter, winter, and everything else.
Like, which do you prefer when it's more daytime or when it's more nighttime?
I think the easy answer is to say that it's the summer or spring when there's actually more daylight out. But I find it to be a harder time to go to bed, at a reasonable
Why?
time. You have sunlight out, like we just talked about before we started recording, around 11:30 p.m. And for people who do that 9 to 5, that's difficult sometimes.
I'm
They
just
both,
thinking, yeah, for people who have kids, and you'll say you have to go to bed, and they'll be like, "But the sun is out." Yeah, yeah, it's
absolutely. I have very fond memories of being a kid growing up here, and to be sent to bed when it's not dark. It was a really odd feeling to do that. And so we usually have blackout shades that, make your room completely pitch black. It's like the only way to do it. Especially if you're light sensitive when you're trying to go to sleep. So
oh yeah, I couldn't sleep with that much daylight coming
daylight,
in. Yeah,
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 yeah. For some people, it's very hard. A lot of people that live here, yeah, it can be difficult. So
yeah. I'm sure, but we're not here to talk about daylight savings time or
sure.
in Alaska. We're here to talk about She and the album. So I'm gonna show the artwork for the album, which I think is awesome. So it's called the Godpaster, and this is
Just
the
yep, good pastor. Yep, yep,
Good Pastor. Yeah, because I just a Good Pastor, and I like this because it's very like it looks like very like Lord of the Rings or type of epic shit. So yeah,
for
it's
sure.
great artwork. What were you trying to convey as a band with this artwork?
Well, it's actually too bad that Andrew, our vocalist, is not here. I think he could answer that question a lot more thoroughly. But
Okay.
I'll try my best. I mean, lyrically, it's more so about like a hero's journey in a lot of ways. And I mean, Andrew has had a very concise vision for what this record was going to be in terms of its theme, visually and lyrically. Andrew is the sole lyric writer, and really from the beginning, he's had this entire vision. I remember him talking to us in the practice space about uh, um, uh, what you see here. The name escapes me. There's a certain word for this creature. Forgive me, but the serpent with three heads
Yeah,
and tentacles
yeah,
being locked off,
it's like
and
a serpent with three or like a dragon with three heads. I forget the name also because I think I don't know if it's like a like like Greek mythology or some types of mythology or some
sure,
fantasy, but I can't remember the name either.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
someone in the comments will tell us like what what the
for
name
sure.
is.
Yeah, but at any rate, it's been a really clear vision, from the get go, as to what the cover was going to look like. And shout out to Jay Cost, our bassist and art guy. He has created all this from the ground up, and he deserves tremendous credit for what he's done for us and what he's allowed for us to do as a band and kind of keep everything in house, if you will.
Yeah, it's very when I was reading about your band and everything, everything's very DIY. Do it yourself because you have the bass player doing the cover, which is, he's very talented because this is an amazing album cover.
Thank
Like,
you. I appreciate
and I
that.
like it because it has like a comic book feel to it,
Hmm.
or like a graphic novel type of feel to it. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it's awesome, and I like the details. So I know you're the drummer, but why the name the name of the album Godpaster? Like, is there a story behind the name that maybe it's the singer, but maybe he shared it with you?
So the short answer, pretty much the Goodpaster. There's a river called the Goodpaster River, that Andrew's family has a cabin on, and it's, I believe, a part of the Tanana River, and a part of Alaska. And so, as you've heard the record already, well,
I
I don't
did.
want to give anything away, but there are things that you've heard on the beginning and the end of the record that's actually what you hear by the Goodpaster River.
Yeah, the record starts with the sound of water.
Right. Yeah.
Like the first song is almost you hear the water, and I believe at the end of the record the water comes back. So
Right.
uh,
Right. And so that basically is the Goodpaster River that you're hearing. Andrew's dad went in and did some field recording for us, and we were able to put it on the record.
yeah, no, it's awesome. The electricity just went out here. That's why I'm looking so pitch dark.
No
I'm in
kidding.
Puerto Rico, so in Puerto Rico, sometimes we have trouble with the electricity comes out. So I'm using this so people can actually see me.
Oh boy.
Ah,
Oh wow.
hopefully it comes back soon. So,
Okay.
uh, yeah, what are you drinking, man?
I am drinking some peach ginger tea.
Looks good, yeah.
It's good. It's good. I made it 2 minutes before I sat down to talk with you, so it's still nice and hot. It's perfect for the evening we're about to have. It looks like our sunlight's probably gone for the day, or sunshine rather. Still light out, but
Oh yeah,
you know,
it looks pretty
overcast evening. So having something cozy for the evening.
cool. So now I look like I'm a creepy like
Like
spirit or
like you're about
something.
to tell me a ghost story or something.
Yeah, well, that's something. Puerto Rico is nice, but our electricity is system is terrible. So yeah, and we're going through a heat wave right now. So you would
Oh yeah.
imagine, yeah, that this is not good. So yeah, let's talk. So the album, yeah, I listened to it, and yeah, it starts with water and it ends with the longest song, Head Waters Off,
Hmm.
with three exclamation points. And that's the longest song at 4 minutes and 17 seconds because most of the other songs are less than a minute or a minute and a half or like 2 minute mark.
Yep.
And yeah, I like some of there's some great album uh song titles like Old Soul Chose Age,
Hmm.
Bullshit Portent, uh Arguments in Space, and I like Whilst Digress Yet Heave. So yeah, it's pretty interesting the name of the songs. So I know the sound of She is hard to describe
It
because
is.
there's like hardcore, there's metal, and there's grindcore. How would you
Sure.
describe the sound of your band for someone that's never listened to you before?
This is always an answer for me personally. It kind of depends on who I'm talking to. I feel like I can gauge the kind of answer I need to give based on someone's maybe musical tastes or tendencies or whatnot, But oftentimes I find myself saying we're a weird hardcore band at its very core root. Like we wear a lot of hats musically, obviously, like you just said. There's some grind elements. There's like modern heavy metal, elements to it.
Yeah.
There's some super weird shit that happens on the record. Man, it's really interesting. Well, not interesting. It's actually not surprising that you're asking me this, but when we were in the studio recording with Taylor Young, there was a certain point in the session where we literally we asked him. He's like, we asked him, what do you think? What are we? From we wanted to get the opinion of somebody who deals with a lot of different bands and might have a better grasp on what we are
By the
stylistically.
way, for people who are watching, the light has returned.
Yes, yes, hell yeah. So I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard to answer that. We wear a lot of hats musically, like I've said, and I just think we're a weird hardcore band. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, it's up for you to decide. You know.
Yeah, it's aggressive as fuck. Let me tell you that. Like the album from like besides the water sounds, that's the only
Mhm.
like serene sound that you get on this release. It's it's like so it's like chaotic all the way through. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint your sound because it's I wouldn't say it's like straight up grindcore, but it's I like the way you said it. We're a weird hardcore band.
Essentially, yeah. And you know, we're really happy with the way the record actually plays through. You know, from side A to side B, we all feel like side A just kind of flies by. You know, you get to the end of side A and you're kind of like, wow, like it's already I already have to flip the, you know, flip the record. It's crazy. We spent a lot
Is
of
that the
time.
record is like less than 30 minutes, right? It's like 20,
I
25
believe
minutes or
it's
something.
about 30 minutes. Yeah. It's a little under a half hour, I believe. I can't remember the exact time, but we spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best way to put these songs on the record. And I'm trying to remember, I feel like a lot of the songs, their order on the record was actually the order that we wrote them, which is really
Really?
interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really interesting writing process for us, especially for me, which I'll get into in a minute. But yeah, we essentially wrote a lot of these songs in order. And as the record began to fill out, it was a cool exercise to be able to look back on what's already been written and then kind of have a vision for what we want the rest of the record to have, you know, what we want to fill it out with. You know, stylistically, it's like, all right, cool, we have like five or six like wild ass rippers, you know, that like do a bunch of things. And like, you know, I'll only speak for myself, like, but like from a drumming standpoint, I would say,
Mm.
okay, I do like this kind of beat and like some blast beats and, you know, certain fills here and there. Like for the rest of the record, I'd really like to do obviously what we do well as a band, you know, like D beats and blast beats and whatever, but fill it out with some different stuff. And so it was a cool process to have songs written, write more, and then kind of revisit the earlier stuff, refine it, and then like kind of it was more of like a continuous sort of motion, in from my perspective at least, getting everything written. So, but it flows really well, and I'm biased, obviously, but I think it shows that we thought about it. I think it flows really well as a record, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, something that I noticed, like listening to the record. Yeah, every song went into the next one like flawlessly. There wasn't like a sudden like break. It seems like it's sometimes it feels like it's a very long song continuing. Like
Sure,
like
sure.
uh well I know that it starts with the sound of the river, which is like we it's interesting because it like calms you, and then you get pummeled into submission with the second track, the knee I know not.
Yes,
So
sir.
it really like kicks your ass right out of the gate, and it doesn't let you go until the end. So you being a drummer, like growing up for you, like which drummers influence your sound and the way that you like to
Oh,
play?
wow. I mean, I feel like there's different eras for me
Mhm.
of my life. I mean, I'm in my mid 30s now, and you know, I've been playing drums since I was about 14. And so that's enough time to kind of roll through different periods of influence as an individual. But I mean, I could probably split it up into maybe like two or three parts. I mean, really early on, I was just playing in like punk bands. I, you know, surprisingly enough, I loved ska. There was just something about I was just loved the sound of like horns. I loved punk or whatever. I was like,
I still love ska.
I was learning how to play No Doubt songs, you know, when I was like 13 and a half, 14, you know. And I remember my brother, he gave me Master of Puppets on tape, and it just changed my life. It's just everything from the way the drums sounded to, you know, what the music was compositionally. I mean, it was my first like real dose of like heavy metal, and I loved it. And so kind of went on that tip for a while. Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden was a huge influence on me. I, was drinking the Kool-Aid in terms of the giant drum set, thing. I wanted my drums to be like my castle. It was yeah, just the way I thought about it. I thought it was really neat. And let's see, over time was a lot of that, and then I slowly got into like jazz and jazz fusion, like specifically Chick Corea and his electric band. So like Dave Weckl, Steve Gadd, and like the Weather Report, like Peter Erskine, a lot of those guys. I mean, there's countless others that I can't think of off the top of my head, but a lot of stuff like that. And then it slowly, really became like a kind of like a grindcore thing. I eventually found Napalm Death. As cliche as that might sound, I found them and was like, wow, this is fucking crazy. Went down that rabbit hole. And I mean, Jesus, man, there's countless drummers that, yeah, I can't think of at the moment. But it was almost like I couldn't get enough of what that was, for a bit. I mean, actually, so I'm thinking of this China symbol that I have on my wall in my office. It's actually signed by Gene Hoglan.
That's a name. Yeah.
Yeah, him and Sean Reinhardt from, some of the Death records were huge, huge influences on me. I remember listening to the Death album Human daily in my early 20s, going to work and going to college. And yeah, Gene Hoglan came here to Anchorage. He was filling in for a band called Unearth. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I've seen them live.
Yeah, I figured so. Yeah. So Unearth played here in like 2008, and Gene Hoglan filled in for them. And one of my bands played, and I think he used my drums. I can't remember. I think he used my China, and then he signed it. And so I've had that for a long time. Yeah,
that's a cool story.
Yeah.
That you have like the same like a symbol that was with Gene Hoglan. So yeah, that's a great story. Plus, did you got to meet him too, right?
I did. Yeah, very nice guy.
That's good when you meet your heroes and they're not dicks.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, a lot of those players that I mentioned. And oh gosh, I mean, now I kind of have fallen. I mean, just to kind of wrap up the answer to your question, I feel like now I still have influences, but I focus a bit more on just trying to be myself as a player now. Like I've been playing drums for long enough to where I have very specific like isms as a player. Like I've kind of created my own identity as a player. I've been told by close friends of mine that as soon as they hear me play drums, they know it's me. So I feel like I've kind of created my own thing, and I'm just trying to change or try and keep fresh what I'm doing within the confines of like, what we're doing as a band right now.
No, good. Yeah, and that's good that you found you have your influences, but you found the style of drumming that you like to play. And the drumming on this album is really fast, and and you have the blast beat. For you, what's the toughest thing to do on drums? On is blast beat to me looks fucking hard as hell, or what's for you, what is harder, doing blast beats or doing more of like the tricks that you were mentioning, or the feels? Like, what do you find more challenging?
Oh man, I mean, that's a hard question to answer because I think it's all kind of contextual. It really depends on what's happening in the song. I mean, I can sit downstairs in my house and play a blast beat by myself for, on and on for a few minutes or whatever. And it depends on the speed. It depends on the riff that I'm playing to, if there's something that's like in straight 4/4, time, or you got something that's some odd time signature like 7 or 9 or whatever. It really all depends. I mean, I think the easy answer is anything to do with footwork. I feel like my playing, at the end of the day, the one thing I've struggled with the most is proficiency with my feet for whatever reason. And I know there's some certain parts on this record where it does stand out, and I'm very proud of some of those parts, but they were really fucking hard to like implement and get good at. And yeah, probably anything to do with that. I mean, and I mentioned earlier about the writing process and
Hmm.
how it's kind of a special, how it is a special release for me in terms of how it was made. This is actually the first record, probably ever, where I've really put a lot of time into what kind of fills and transitions I played. Like I really wrote parts for the first time. A lot of the records that I played on in different and past bands, earlier in my life, in the studio, it was really more about catching lightning in a bottle. Like there would be a
Okay.
general strong like song structure, but what happened in between, like, the actual parts, like if there's, some like four to the floor kind of like beat down, hardcore thing, like that's a
Hmm.
part. But if I'm gonna do like some kind of thing into a um, what happened in between always kind of changed to a certain degree. And I don't know why. I think it's just part of drumming that is really fun to me. I've developed the ability to think on the fly, but with the pressure of being in the studio, it can be hard sometimes. It's really stressful. When you get it right, it's really fucking cool. But when you don't, it can be a total pain in the ass. But like I said, this was the first record where like we really prepared as a band, and I thought about what I was doing very hard, on most, if not all, of these songs. So, and I think it kind of shows, at times. There are some that kind of are way different. When I say there are things, there are certain fills that I play in the record that are way different than what I planned on, but that's fine because they sound dope.
Yeah, no, that's good. So you record and engineered this with Taylor Young at the Pit Recording Studios. They work with some like really awesome bands like Nails, Cruelty, God's Hate, and
Bunch.
how was
Taylor,
that?
it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Taylor was a joy to work with. To put it simply, it also helps that we prepared our asses off and we showed up and we did our job really well. But he also was very, I don't know what the best word would be. Encouraging. I mean, just
Mhm.
patient, just easy. It was really easy to work with. Everything was like, yeah, okay, we'll try that. And if there was something, some sort of suggestion from him, it was, always put in a way that was very palatable. It was not, harsh, or, like there was never a harsh sense of criticism that came with any of his ideas. It was, he, at a certain point in time, he started to really act as like a producer at times, and it was really great, but super easy. I got my drums done in a couple days, like day and a half, something like that. Mercy, our guitarist, I think he tracked all of his guitars in a day. And I
Wow.
think, yeah, and I think J Cost did his stuff in, I believe, a day or a little bit more than a day. And we just wanted to give Andrew as much time as we could to do his vocals, and he, shined very brightly in the studio. He killed it. I mean, but yeah, at the
So
end of the day,
did
Taylor
the
was super, super helpful and very easy to work with.
so was the recording process like 2 weeks?
We were there, I believe, for about a week and a half.
Wow.
Um, yeah, we essentially did the whole thing in I think, yeah, a week and a half or so.
Yeah, but it does sound like you guys were like super fucking prepared. You knew what you were gonna do. So you went there and you did it like old school bands in the past in the 90s would do that. Like they would have practice, so when they go, they don't have that much studio time.
We
So
also,
yeah.
yeah, and leading up to it, we were recording our own demos, for months and months and months on my recording gear, which proved to be so, so helpful. I mean, I think it's something that we will not abandon, moving forward. when it comes to preparing to make another record. You have to give yourself that opportunity to experience your own material in that way, instead of just playing it with your bandmates and buddies over and over again. You have to be able to sit in it and kind of listen to it and give it that special kind of critique. And we did that numerous times. I think we went through 2 rounds, like full rounds, like with basically the whole record written, listening to demos, and there were surely things that changed on my end after listening to those for enough times. So that definitely helped.
Yeah, I'm sure it helped, and you can tell it when people listen to the album in full on June 16th. So I know that you're self-releasing Godpaster and you're doing an ox blood and bone colored vinyl LP,
Yes,
and
sir.
obviously it's gonna be on the digital platforms and people can pre-order at Bandcamp. I'll put the link. Do you happen to have a vinyl copy there with you?
A vinyl company?
No, no copy of the album.
Oh, with me right now.
Yeah.
It's downstairs, actually.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
If not, I'm like, let's show it for the people so they can
Yeah,
see it.
sorry, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they're downstairs right now.
Oh, that's okay. But yeah, I'll post the link so people that want to pre-order can do it because this is coming out next week. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so are you shipping from your do you have some help with the shipping, like with some company, or is everything you're doing yourself?
It's all us, man. It's been all
Wow.
us. Yeah. We have 500 records sitting here in Anchorage that we will be shipping ourselves, every single one of them.
So for people watching this, how many uh, are left so people can know like you gotta hurry and buy this shit?
Well, pre-orders have been up since sometime, I think mid or late April. And there have been quite a few that have been pre-ordered, but there will be records available, I'm sure.
Good. So
But I
yeah.
mean, nobody's heard the whole thing really yet. It hasn't been out in the public. Maybe once it hits the public, people are gonna be like, oh shit, I fucking want this record, like right now. We'll see
Yeah.
if we're lucky.
Yeah, no,
But
but I think
yeah.
it's very impressive that you guys are so DIY that you invested on vinyl for yourselves, the recordings, everything. It's quite commendable because like once people hear this record, because I've heard it, it sounds like very, like very tight playing and even though songs are short, they're technical. Uh, and yeah, it's like you can't pigeonhole the band because there's a lot of shit happening in songs that are short.
Sure.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a ton of shit happening on this record. We're very proud of it. Yeah, I mean, we feel like it's the best thing that we've ever done as a band. That it speaks for itself, and we're excited for people to hear it. It's really important for us to put it out on vinyl. We're all vinyl heads, and you don't see a lot of that happen up here in Anchorage. People putting out actual records, and we want to continue to do that.
no, I think it's awesome that you guys are putting out the record, and it shows that you put your blood, sweat, tears into the project, and it shows people. I would recommend She. If you like some technical, weird hardcore, like we've just been talking about for the last 30 minutes, I think you'll be into it. Plus, Justin's, he's just a great like a shield guy, like super down to earth. And has anyone ever told you that you look a little bit like the actor that plays Better Call Saul?
No, I have not heard that. No,
Oh,
that like the dude Saul or whatever,
yeah, the
right?
guy, yeah, the
Oh, what's it?
Bob Odenkirk. It's his
What's
name.
it? Bob Odenkirk or something,
Bob
right?
Odenkirk, yeah.
Oh, that's so
Like
funny.
especially with the hat and the mustache that you have. On the last like seasons, he had like that look where
I'm
he
gonna
was.
I'm gonna look him up real quick. Oh Jesus, yeah, maybe that'll be me in 25 years.
Well,
We'll see.
it's a good thing because like, hey, like you could like people will be like, is that Bob Odenkirk playing the drums? You're like, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. When I'm not acting, I'm playing a weird hardcore for you people.
Yeah, I'm Bob Odenkirk's stunt double.
Stunt double. So,
Yeah.
Justin, it's been great chatting with you. You're a super cool guy, and I
Likewise,
wish
thank you.
all the success for she and the record Godpaster June 16th. I'll put the link for people to pre-order that,
Pre-order.
and,
Yep.
and so until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.